Good evening, RENEWS English section is on air. I'm Sona Tumanyan. Join us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and X. Get your portion of information from our official website, reopen.media. Tensions are rising fast across the Middle East as global leaders waiting on explosive reports surrounding Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Russian President Vladimir Putin calls the idea of Khamenei's assassination too dangerous to even consider. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has wished Khamenei good luck, but is reportedly preparing to make a critical decision on possible strikes against Iran within the next 2 weeks. Israel's leadership sends mixed signals, with President Isaac Herzog downplaying Khamenei as a direct target, even as Defense Minister Israel Katz calls his elimination one of the campaign's main goals. And amid reports of direct talks between Iran and the US, Tehran denies any such dialogue, accusing Washington of complicity in Israeli aggression. Here is what we know so far.
On the 8th day of the Iran-Israel rocket war, videos have appeared online in which, according to Al Jazeera, explosions are heard at the location where the bunker of Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei may be located. Tehran has not yet officially responded to these circulating speculations. Against the backdrop of these rumors, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that their goal is not the fall of Iran's leadership. The issue of regime change in Iran or its fall is first and foremost a matter for the Iranian people. I have not presented that as a goal. It could be a consequence, but it is not one of our clear or official goals. Netanyahu insisted that they have all the necessary capabilities to destroy Iran's entire nuclear infrastructure, regardless of whether U.S. President Donald Trump wishes to participate in that operation or not. Meanwhile, whether or not the U.S. will join Israel's attacks is a decision Trump will make within the next 2 weeks. Since yesterday, reports from various sources have been sweeping through the Western press, suggesting the U.S. might strike Iran's Fordo nuclear facility with the world's most powerful non-nuclear bomb. And today, Iran announced that it has begun a new wave of attacks on Haifa and Tel Aviv. Iran has struck the offices of an IT company that provides cybersecurity services to the Israeli army and the offices of Microsoft. Israel has confirmed that fires broke out from the Iranian rocket strikes. Cars were burned and residential buildings were damaged. The IDF reported that it intercepted drones launched from Iran toward Israel during the night.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel's goal in Iran is not to topple Tehran's regime, but that could be a consequence. The main objective is to eliminate the Iranian nuclear threat and, secondly, to neutralize the ballistic missile danger, he stated. An advisor to Iran's foreign minister says Israeli intelligence attempted to assassinate top Iranian diplomat Abbas Araghchi in Tehran, but the plot was foiled by Iran's elite Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Writing on X, senior advisor Hossein Ranjibaran revealed that if not for the IRGC's security measures, an assassination attempt may have taken place just days ago. He added that Araghchi sees himself more as a soldier of the homeland than a diplomat. The claim comes amid heightened regional tensions and follows reports of covert operations between Israel and Iran. As Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows to carry the fight through to the end, Iran is preparing to sit down with top European diplomats for high-stakes talks in Geneva. Foreign ministers from France, Germany and the UK are set to meet Iranian negotiator Abbas Araghchi with Iran's nuclear program and regional war de-escalation at the top of the agenda. Analysts say the meeting signals a possible restart of nuclear diplomacy amid fears the Israel-Iran conflict could spiral further. The European trio is expected to push Iran for credible guarantees that its nuclear activities remain strictly peaceful. Anti-Israel protests have erupted across major Iranian cities, including Tehran and Isfahan, as tensions with Israel escalate. Thousands marched through the streets, waving flags and chanting anti-Israel and anti-US slogans. The demonstrators come amid growing fears of regional conflict and calls for Iranian retaliation. Russia is warning of a growing nuclear threat in the Caspian Sea region amid rising tensions between Iran and Israel. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said Moscow is doing everything it can to stir the situation back toward diplomacy, urging both sides to avoid further escalation. Trump posted an image of Obama on social media with the caption, "We know who is responsible for Iran's nuclear program." Is Trump dodging responsibility or just unsure how to post his own photo? At least 34 people were killed overnight in Israeli airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, according to Al Jazeera. Of those, 23 died when Israeli forces opened fire on a crowd waiting at a humanitarian aid distribution point in central Gaza. Another 11 Palestinians were killed in airstrikes targeting residential buildings in Deir al-Balah, also in central Gaza. Additionally, Israeli strikes hit a refugee camp in Gaza, killing 15 people. As tensions escalate between Iran and Israel, European countries are beginning to scale back their diplomatic presence in Tehran. Hungary has temporarily relocated its embassy from Iran to neighboring Azerbaijan, Foreign Minister confirmed. 15 embassy staff and their families were evacuated for safety. Bulgaria followed suit. Prime Minister Rosen Zhelyazkov announced the closure of Bulgaria's embassy in Tehran and the evacuation of diplomatic personnel to Azerbaijan, citing growing regional instability and security concerns. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton is urging Donald Trump to help de-escalate the intensifying conflict between Israel and Iran. Speaking on The Daily Show, Clinton warned against further military engagement and criticized Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's long-standing stance toward Iran. Mr. Netanyahu has long wanted a war with Iran. It's a way to stay in power indefinitely, Clinton said, referencing Netanyahu's extended time in office. While the U.S. has so far avoided direct involvement, it has assisted Israel in intercepting missiles fired from Tehran. Still, signs are emerging that the Trump administration may take a more active role in the conflict, according to the New York Post. As Armenia's prime minister departed for Turkey, the country's defense ministry reported that Azerbaijani forces opened fire Friday morning toward the village of Nerkinhand in Armenia's Sunik province, damaging a residential home. No casualties were reported, but Armenia's military leadership called on Azerbaijan to investigate the incident and issue a public explanation. Baku has not yet responded. The incident adds tension to an already fragile regional situation. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan has arrived in Turkey for his first official working visit. He was welcomed at Istanbul International Airport by Turkish Deputy Foreign Minister Beris Ekinci. Pashinyan is set to meet with members of the local Armenian community and will hold a key meeting this evening with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The Armenian delegation includes Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan, Deputy Speaker of Parliament and Armenian-Turkish negotiator Ruben Rubinyan, and Deputy Foreign Minister Fahan Kostanyan. While the full agenda of the visit remains unclear, officials confirmed that no meeting is scheduled between Pashinyan and Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, who was in Turkey the previous day. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan will not attend the upcoming Eurasian Economic Union Summit in Minsk in person, opting instead to participate via video link due to his official visit to Turkey. The Kremlin expressed disappointment over the decision. "We regret that Prime Minister Pashinyan will not be attending the summit in person," said Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov. The Armenian government confirmed earlier this week that Pashinyan's schedule would not allow travel to Belarus as he prioritizes meetings in Turkey, including with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan met with representatives of the Armenian community in Istanbul during his official visit to Turkey. He shared news of the meeting on his Telegram channel, along with a short video clip of the gathering. During his visit to Istanbul, Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan lit a candle at the Holy Mother of God Patriarchal Cathedral, a symbolic gesture of peace and remembrance. The moment came as part of his meeting with representatives of the Armenian community in Turkey. Amid Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's high-profile visit to Turkey, Armenian Deputy Prime Minister Meher Grigoryan told Russia's RIA Novosti that Yerevan is ready to sign a peace treaty with Azerbaijan immediately. "We are ready to sign now. The sooner it's done, the better," Grigoryan said during the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. He added that there are currently no set dates or locations agreed upon for the signing and emphasized that Armenia has no additional conditions or limitations for finalizing the agreement. Due to Russian strikes on gas extraction facilities, Ukraine will need to increase imports of blue fuel, Energy Minister Herman Halushchenko said during a government session. "The situation with reserves is very difficult, truly challenging," he noted. Ukraine plans to sign contracts for about 3 billion cubic meters of gas supply. Meanwhile, Russian forces continue their persistent advance on the battlefield.
Russian forces are continuing their assault in the Kupiansk direction. In recent hours, units of the North grouping of forces have established control over the settlement of Moskovka in Kharkiv Oblast. The village is located on the northwestern outskirts of Kupiansk. The Russians captured Kupiansk just days after the start of the war, on February 27, 2022. The city, considered a transport hub and a point for further advancement towards the Donbass, was recaptured by the Ukrainians in September of the same year. Ukrainian forces continue to carry out drone attacks on various regions of Russia. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, over the last 24 hours, air defenses intercepted or destroyed 61 Ukrainian drones. Russian sources have also reported retaliatory strikes, stating that ammunition depots and troop concentration areas were targeted. Ukrainian authorities have reported continuous shelling by Russian forces on various regions of Ukraine, including Kharkiv, Donetsk, and Zaporizhia oblasts. The targets included both military and civilian infrastructure, according to Ukrainian sources. Overnight, Odessa and Kharkiv came under a massive attack by combat drones. Fires broke out. In Odessa, a 4-story building collapsed, a 23-story building was damaged, and 600 people were evacuated. According to preliminary data, 14 people were injured. In Kharkiv, 4 people were injured, and residential buildings and a factory were damaged. Russian Presidential Press Secretary Dmitry Peskov has stated that dialogue with Ukraine is necessary.
"The Kyiv regime maintains its essence. We will continue to work to achieve the goals that were set for the special military operation. For us, the ideal option would be to achieve them through political diplomatic means."
He said next week, presumably, we will know the date of the next stage. The Kremlin spokesman reported that it is now necessary to compare the parties' responses to the draft memoranda on the terms for resolving the conflict.
In a light-hearted moment amid tense global headlines, French Prime Minister François Bayrou found himself temporarily stuck inside a Rafale fighter jet during its presentation at the Paris Air Show. Bayrou, who climbed into the cockpit for a closer look, reportedly spent a few awkward minutes trying to exit the aircraft. Staff eventually helped him out. No harm done, just a bit of political turbulence on the tarmac. For more updates, follow us on YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, X, and Facebook. Daily news and full coverage are available on our official website. I am Sona Tumanyan. Stay informed with Reopen Media.